pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the town of Highlands. We set a public hearing for this evening to hear the public on a resolution to adopt a local law to override the tax levy limit established by general municipal law. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Is there any public comment on the resolution to adopt the local law to override the tax limit? Anybody? Yes?
I just want to start with that. Can you explain it a little more? Because my understanding is you're asking to override sort of the increase in taxes that you can make on a yearly basis.
Okay, the state has set a tax limit based on certain figures, which are there are too many different numbers to go through, but it's usually in the neighborhood of 2%. We call it the 2% tax limit. Municipalities, excluding the school, municipalities are allowed to override the tax cap if we find it's necessary to complete our budget. School districts can override it, but they need a 2/3 vote of the public. So each year, I think for the last 3 years or so, we've done this resolution. It only lasts 1 year. It's only for the current one. We've done this resolution, and we've never went over the tax limits. But if we find that it's absolutely necessary in order to serve the people, then we would override the tax cap. So far, we haven't had to. That's about it.
And you haven't had to get...
We haven't had to go over the tax limit.
Okay.
We've always had this resolution in place, just in case, because we don't know until the end of October if our budget is going to come in under the tax cap.
So I would just make one comment. I would say that I understand from your perspective that you like a little breathing room to let the seams out should it be necessary. But as a taxpayer, I would say strenuously ask that you keep within the level.
Well, your key word is should it be necessary, and we're all taxpayers up here. And if it's necessary, then it's necessary, but we're going to try and make it not necessary. Okay? Is there anybody else have comments? A motion to close the public hearing.
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. A little later on in the meeting, we'll adopt the resolution. Okay, now is there any public comment on anything on the agenda? Anyone? Oh, good, Deborah?
Not on the agenda.
Okay, ain't on the agenda, you ain't speaking of it.
Is there anything on unfinished business specifically being discussed?
No.
Okay.
Okay, approval of the previous minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting?
So move. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
I, for one, like that we get them digitally. Thank you, June.
Okay, Financial reports, we paid out $58,093 on August the 15th. Big items were CEJJ Incorporated for $11,748. That was sanitation. There was a lot of truck repair that had to be done to our truck. Direct Energy got $2,286 for multiple electric accounts, including the streetlights. Global Montello Group, $2,265 for sanitation department diesel fuel. O&R Utilities, $3,500 for multiple department delivery, not including streetlights. Ryder, Wiener, and Frankel, $7,282 for legal services, which included the services to the planning board. TAM Enterprises, $3,068 for the sewer vacuum truck services. Town of New Windsor, $2,314 for IT services. West Point Tours, $4,010 for summer recreation bus trips. Board liaison reports, starting with Richie.
Nothing really that important, other than I've met with the assessor and gone over the budget. Next week, I'm planning a meeting with Pat concerning the highway and sanitation. Continue to monitor the village boards and the school boards, but other than that, nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Sergeant Major?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Thank you, illustrious supervisor, for calling upon me. Just very quickly, I wanted to say that I met with the recreation director, the ambulance corps, and dial-a-bus in reference to their budget. So I've already sat down with them, and so everything's on course for us to be able to do that when scheduled. The other thing is, I wanted to say that incredible senior citizen appreciation day luncheon I attended last week. As you know, you were there, but I think that definitely hats off to Ms. Ann Molina in the center, who orchestrated that event and seemed to have had inclusiveness from all throughout the community for the most part. I saw folks from the Highlanders there. I saw Miss Agnes, Pastor Agnes, and a variety of other groups. So I think the decision we made to hire the center to administer the town's programs is effective and working. But 43 people in all showed up, and it was a great luncheon, and awards were given out from a representative of the Office of the Aging from Goshen. And so hats off again to those folks. And I think that is all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Richie?
Hi. So first thing, on a light note, congratulations to Tierney. I went to the Duchess Fair. She had 13 kids last year. This year she had 11 kids up there. Visit her with her goats up there, and she and her husband, I think, won a couple prizes. Good for that. On the 16th of September, Colin Schmidt is having the award ceremony for first responders. I intend to go. I don't know if anybody else is going. I'd be happy to go out with you.
September, you said?
September the 16th at the Emergency Services Center out in Goshen. I've never been there. I have the address, but
Okay.
Don Smith from Fort Montgomery. And forgive me, I forget the girl from Highland Falls that won. Help me, Mary Jane.
Arla James.
Thank you, Orla James. So I'll be going to that. In August, I attended with Olga. The Environmental Advisory Committee had a picnic, a very nice one. We had a meeting beforehand. She's doing a very good amount of work in a short amount of time, and the picnic was nice. I actually have a garden there that has some wilting vegetables, but most of them are doing pretty good. With the building department, I have the monthly report. Philip Hanwalt's on board. He's been on board a couple of weeks. He's doing well. There's a lot to learn to get comfortable with it. I think he's fitting in rather nicely in a quick amount of time. The report from Bruce for the month of July. There were 19 permit applications received, 17 issued, 6 COs were issued, 31 building permit inspections, 25 advisory notices were issued, 1 fire inspection, 6 advisory violation notices were completed, 11 municipal searches, 3 planning board applications were received, 14 FOIL requests, 63 total number of physical inspections. On the FOIL request, I'm always courteous. I'll have people come to my house when they require information. The FOIL requests ultimately go through the town clerk. We're all very obliging. I just want people to know they can email all they want, but they go to the town clerk to be delivered back, and we document that stuff. So I just wanted to kind of mention that, 'cause we've been getting quite a few of them lately. Sewer, I met, in the building department, their budget's only gonna go up maybe 0.5%, so they're good work there. Sewer, went down with Bob Held to go over the budget today. And I have a letter, if you want me to discuss it, Bob, from the inspection from Joe Fung, that letter that we got.
Yeah.
This one here, you
Yeah,
mentioned,
sure.
wanted me to talk
Yeah.
about it a little
Yeah.
bit. I think some people get a little bit nervous when I read off the monthly flows. It's public information. The DEC is very cognizant of it. I'm not quite sure what they're not happy with. It's either they want a digital copy, he mails hard copies down, he's part-time, he doesn't have any scanner down there or anything, and he gets overwhelmed rather easily. So I think he's looking, if it has to do with digital, to either get help from town hall, get a scanner down there. I'm not quite sure, but that was one of the things mentioned. And in the letter, it refers to in November of 2018, I read these off every month, we went over the 120,000 gallons per day per month average. It was over that. And the biochemical oxygen demand, which is a measure of how clean the water is, was at 96%. That's good. But the tonnage, the amount of it removed, you're allowed 20 pounds per month poundage, not tonnage. We exceeded that. So he wrote a letter pertaining to that. The sewer plant operator can't help that. That ever since I say this as politely as I can, we have an out-of-district user that contributes a pretty good amount that wasn't there originally. We have had times we're approaching that monthly average. And we went over for that month, and they noted it in this letter, and they kind of like slapped us on the back of the hand with a wet noodle for doing it, is kind of what they did. So I talked to Bob about remediating that. I said, whatever you have to send, please do so. I think he might be looking for help to digitize some things. And we did the budget today. The sewer district only affects 2 people in this room. It's a special district, and it can, if I'm not mistaken, exceed 2%. It went up 8% last year. I can tell you that wasn't nearly enough, because it's 40 years old now. There's infiltration. We're chasing it. We have done our first TV inspections, and now we're going out trying to remediate the problems that we have, one step at a time. There's a new roof on the building. Thornwood pump station is rebuilt, and the other matter there is these pump stations have floats on them. We have probably close to $10,000 a year in call-outs because the pump stations will fail, because they make all these wipes nowadays that don't decompose. They can hung up on the floats and they make the alarm come on. I think what Bob would like to do, and we'll need the engineer to talk about it, is use ultrasonic measuring devices that are nowhere near that stuff to turn the pump stations on and off. I'm not going to mention the price of them because I'm not completely sure, but I'd like to at least get one in this year's budget for the pump station Oakwood if we can. And the other thing, we're going to talk about dechlorination later on. A little bit disappointed in that one, but we'll talk about that one in just a little bit. And I think I've talked enough.
All right. Chief, you have anything for us?
No, sir.
Kelly, do you have anything for us? You got all your budgets in?
Yes,
So then you're going to give us a tentative budget,
at the next board meeting,
and then we work off of the tentative budget
correct,
to fix up a preliminary budget.
that's right.
Am I in the right order?
You have it in
I'm doing good. It only took me 14 years to get there.
You do.
I received a letter from the Department of Transportation today about they're going to rehabilitate and replace, but they're going to replace 4 bridges rehabilitate 3 bridges on Route 9W, and what scared me, in the town of Highlands. I thought, whoa, what are you talking about? Then Cornwall and New Windsor in Orange County. Okay, what they're doing here in town is Route 9W over routes 218 and 293 interchange at Highlands. So I'm not even sure exactly where that bridge is.
Is that the crossroads?
That's right at the crossroads.
Crossroads.
Yeah, okay, that's what they're talking about. I have the name of the contractor, chief, and I'll pass this on to you. You'll be the only one that to be interested in it. Orange and Rockland, let's see, they sent me a letter explaining the new meters that they're putting out, the digital meters, and the smart meters will allow our customers to proactively keep track of their energy use and help manage their bill. Other benefits include, we will know when power goes out and which will help with faster restoration, no more estimated bills, no more waiting at home for a meter reading, and the ability to make wiser energy decisions that benefit the environment. That's their letter, which is a lot more to it, but that's their bullet points. Chief, I got a letter from the district attorney having to do with prosecution of vehicle and traffic infractions. Did you get the same letter? Okay.
In-service training that's going to be going on between now and then.
Okay, and they have a meeting for the supervisors. It's a luncheon meeting on, I forget, it's on a Friday in the district attorney's meeting room. They're going to tell us all about this too, so I'll go to that. I have a letter from Patrol Officer Gavigan requesting an additional 60 days on his leave of absence for medical reasons. Would the board like to grant the 60 days, which would bring him to November the 1st?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I have the same letter, but not in my hand, from Patrolman Brooks Lyman. He would like to extend his leave of absence for medical reasons until December the 31st. I'd like to ask for a motion with the stipulation that between now and then, we get more information from his doctor concerning his illness.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. I have a letter from the highway superintendent. I'll skip the name of the person, but he has a laborer that has shown improper work ethics, tardiness, calling in sick, leaving early, sent home from the job. He is asking that he would be terminated at this time. Can I ask for a motion to terminate the seasonal laborer mentioned
Motion.
in this letter?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Also from Orange and Rockland, I gave a warning, and I'll somehow get this on Channel 23. 2 big reasons not to believe any crook who makes a shut-off threat. No debit cards. O&R does not accept bill payment for electric and gas utility bills by Green Dot or any other prepaid debit card. It never has. No immediate shut-off. Disconnecting O&R electric or gas service for non-payment of bills involves a multi-step process, including written communications from O&R to the customer over a period of several days or even weeks, not hours. That process is regulated by the New York State Public Service Commission and the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. So don't get yourself stuck into paying someone for something that is not there. I'll see if I can get that on Channel 23, and I'll give that to you and see if we can get it on our website. I have an annual letter I get from RSVP, Office of the Aging, asking us to become they're having their volunteer recognition sponsorship forum, which RSVP volunteers are essential pieces of our community. They have 570 volunteers that are age 55 and better who have contributed 46,500 hours in the past 12 months. They served at food pantries and libraries, delivered meals to homebound, provided transportation or companionship to the elderly and the disabled. But RSVP volunteers also offer supportive guidance as ombudsmen, tax aides, hospice volunteers, and help their neighbors to meet very essential community needs. So they have this every year. It's a recognition luncheon. It's at Cole's Highland House. They're asking us to continue our gold sponsorship, which was $150. So I'll ask for a motion to continue that. Do I have one?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, okay. Now, with that gold sponsorship, we get one free ticket, which I usually go, but Ty, if you want to go in my place, you can.
Okay. What was the date again? Date?
When is it? It's on Thursday, October the 3rd at 11 a.m.
Okay.
If you want to go, you can go in my place.
I'll do it.
Okay. I mean, I can go, there's no problem. And if it turns out you can't go, let me know and I'll go. Many thanks to Kelly. Blauvelt was much easier to say. Pecoro?
Pecoraro.
Pepcorado, okay. Many thanks to you, Kelly, for putting on that program of the mandated training that the town employees, the town has to do. Along with that, Kelly did the sexual harassment policy, and we are required to post and pass a resolution on the policy. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board, Town of Highlands, does hereby adopt the sexual harassment policy, and that we put up all notices and documents required. I ask for a motion to move the resolution to adopt the policy.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
All right.
Councilmember Perry,
Aye.
Supervisor Lipson.
Aye. So we're planning dechlorination bids. We received two bids. Two bids too high, as far as I'm concerned. The low bid was $345,000. The high bid was $450,000. I have a letter from our engineer. We have reviewed the bids of August the 20th and find the lowest qualifying bidder to be qualified to perform the work is TAM Enterprises. Their bid proposal is for $345,000. The bid is 15% over our estimate. I asked the low bidder to see if he could reduce the cost. He's getting back to me, he'll advise us. He does not guarantee a lower cost. This bid is not just 15% over the estimate, but the original estimate was under 200,000.
Under 200?
Was under 200,000. I think 165, am I right?
Really?
Somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't know what to do with this. I think we'll wait to see what Al gets back to us with a new number, if that's going to happen, and we can talk about it at our next meeting. But prior to this letter from Al, I was going to suggest we just deny all bids and rebid it at another time. But we do have the pressure of May the 20th next year. It's got to be done before that. So, Rich, you got anything on this?
No, you covered it, just the history behind it. In 2017 sometime, there was a violation, or 2016, it was before I was on the board. So somehow it kind of got overlooked. We went for a technical meeting in September of the first year I was here. What year was I here? 2017, 2 years ago, I guess? Yes, we'll use that number. And at that technical meeting, it was brought up that sewer plants are now required to do something they didn't do 35 years ago, is to dechlorinate between the months of April to October. So our plant didn't do that. You would think it'd just be a simple little thing, and I don't want to speak out of context. I don't believe what's being built is much bigger than an 8x8 building. And there's all these complications going on. It's something I wish we could just do in-house. The same engineer, and I'm not bashful about saying the same engineer, missed on the bid for the belt press, which is, we missed by what, $700,000 on that one, over the estimate. We had to go out to rebond that. This one is 15% over. And our hands are cuffed because we do have to have it done by May of 2020. So that's where we're at.
My biggest problem with these bids is the low bidder is also the low bidder for the other major project, 3-point-something million dollars. He's going to have his entire crew and equipment down there. I don't see why he couldn't do it for nothing, but that's me. But that's not going to happen. Justin,
Well, the only comments, and right, there is DEC involvement, so if we are changing the plans to come up with a different solution, we'll have to go back to DEC too. So we should just build into the timeframes, right? Because that turnaround process is not always rapid. But I do think the current engineer may have some concepts and ideas that are at least worth exploring. So they should be brought in to give some type of input. I'm sure they've experienced dechlorination issues elsewhere, and maybe they have some ideas. 'Cause the numbers, as the supervisor pointed out, did seem to grow with each passing month. The project's grown significantly.
I wonder if, using our same engineer, we could go to that company, I brought it up last week, well, you sat there in a meeting with me. We could bring them in on that.
We could certainly look to see whether they've scoped this type of project. It does seem to be in the nature of what they were discussing. Just don't know definitively the answer to that. But Gordian, the company that pre-bid certain.
They mentioned something about bring your engineer, show us what you need, and we'll get all the labor and all that stuff, and if it doesn't.
If we don't move forward, there's no cost there.
Right, yeah.
So that's worth exploring.
Okay. So, how much time do we have to decline the bid?
Well, we certainly have at least another meeting or two to put our timeframes in order, and but probably by the next one, it'd be nice to know if you're leaning. That way, we could alert.
Actually,
Al.
I could speak to Al about this company. I mean, he must be familiar with them.
I would think.
All right, moving right along. I have the resolution to override the tax cap. Whereas the town board, Town of Highlands adopted, or is going to adopt a resolution on the 12th day of August. What? Oh,
That's just the history.
that's the history on having the public hearing.
To the be it resolved.
We had our public hearing this evening, and I'll ask for a motion to move the resolution to adopt the local law to override the tax levy limit established by general municipal law. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Perry,
Aye.
Supervisor Leeson.
Aye. Do we have any other business? Did I miss anything, Justin? Kelly?
No, I don't believe so, Supervisor.
June's not here to tell me what I missed. General public comment, anything?
I just wanted to comment on two things. You were reading from a sheet from ONR about the smart meters. I haven't seen it, but I got the gist.
While I read that, I knew you weren't going to be in favor of it, but that's okay.
Well, I don't know if you can be in favor or not, just because they are rolling them out, but I just wanted to make a few remarks about the smart
Sure.
meters. So there are a number of experts around this country and around the world that have called for a moratorium on the smart meters because they're extremely dangerous. The radio frequency radiation that comes out of them has a square irregular waveform. There's a study from Australia that tracked a number of people who actually got sickened and became electromagnetically hypersensitive from the smart meter, whereas they weren't before. There's a lot that can be said about that, but what it means when the person has become that way is they can no longer tolerate, Wi-Fi, cell phones to varying degrees. And so there were a series of decisions that just came out from France last week. I'm still digesting them because I need to use a French dictionary to read them carefully. But the French courts are accepting that 5% of the population is having a problem with the smart meters. Their systems are a little different than ours, but these problems have gone on all around the U.S. There have been complaints to HUD. I have a copy of a conciliation where HUD had to work with the local state attorney general to rip not only the meter out of the person's house, but some of the neighbors as well, because they couldn't tolerate living in their own home. There's a series of international alerts about this. There's a document which I can send you if you'd like, which is lead authored by David Carpenter, who's on the presidential cancer panel, is based at SUNY Albany, explaining how dangerous these meters are and why there should be a moratorium on them. I've sued ONR and the Public Service Commission twice, so that's in litigation right now. One is over the fee issue, because arguing that, like other states have given opt-outs in legislatures, they should allow people to not have to pay to not accept the meter. And the other lawsuit is about stopping the rollout completely. And I just also want to draw to everybody's attention that within the last year, the states of New Mexico, Kentucky, and Virginia rejected the smart meters entirely. They said the business case was fraudulent. There was a lot of testimony in New Mexico about the health effects. So I'm happy, if Justin wants to see these decisions, I'm happy to send them along just so, people have a sense of what's going on in other jurisdictions. So, I can't speak to what's going to happen with my lawsuits at this point, but I just wanted to alert you that they are in process, that people really should consider opting out. It doesn't help if you've then become injured by them after the fact. And there's plenty of evidence that this is going on, plenty of doctors testifying to this, very credible people like David Carpenter, and of course these decisions in other countries. They put a moratorium on them actually in British Columbia, I think in Italy on one type, and in England for a while. And I have actually a copy of a resolution in Independence, Missouri, where they canceled the smart meter contracts, made them null and void somehow. There's a lot of awareness now, especially after these decisions in Virginia, Kentucky, and New Mexico. So people should be concerned, especially to a lot of some of the things they were saying in that document we're reading from, like very vague about the business case. That was one of the things that I addressed in my lawsuits, addressed in the rate hearing. When something's been proven not to work the way they say, it doesn't reduce global warming, it doesn't reduce your electric bill, it doesn't really, people don't change their behavior as a result of them. They don't automatically automate changes because the smart meter can't talk to the appliances in the house. And so usually, like in finance, when something's not serving the ratepayer, it's supposed to be moved to the investor side of the business. So right now, they're really sticking the ratepayer with $92.5 million of costs of something that's been proven not to work, that state attorney generals wrote briefs in other states saying that the business case is an absolute fraud, which is, one of the things that I've asserted as well that doesn't make the PSC too happy, but I really don't think they've been doing their homework. So I just wanted to make some comments on that, urge people to opt out. I think O&R is going to be sending around a form, and if you want to opt out, you have to call them to affirmatively tell them that. I'm happy to, providing more information on smart meters that you'd like. I would urge the board before the rollout happens. Did they indicate in that letter when they were going to do it in the town of Highlands?
No.
Okay. I think there was something that they had said to the judge in one of my suits claiming that, it wouldn't be before like September 2020, but it was contradicted by various departments. So I memorialized all that in my lawsuits, and I'm happy to give Justin the index numbers, which I don't have, at the top of my head right now. But I would urge the board to consider before the rollout happens, inviting Dr. Carpenter down to speak and maybe take questions and answers and give people a little bit more information directly from a leading expert on the health effects of these meters, and just to understand what's at stake if they don't opt out. So I just want to share that. The other thing I wanted to bring up was, it turns out we have no noise ordinance in the town of Highlands. So I wanted to make some suggestions. I guess first I wanted to ask if there's any kind of concept where we could have a temporary sort of emergency noise ordinance that we put in place on the books, see how it works for 3 months, and then have it sunset, or 4 months sunset at the end of the year. Is there any precedent for that?
No, that's difficult to do under these circumstances, because you'd be changing the legislation in the town, so it requires the local law process.
But you couldn't have a local law that sunsetted on such and such a day?
Certainly have a local law that sunsets, but you'd have to go through the public hearing process to
Okay.
institute the legislation.
I mean, I think, I'm just going from my subjective experience, but I'm probably the perfect storm in some ways, because there's someone doing construction below me and then to the side of me. And when you look at, there really are no rules. It says on the building department form that they can work 11 hours a day, basically any day of the week, recommended that they not work Sunday and holidays. But what's functionally happened for me, I mean, there's like, for me personally, and I really can't speak to other people, and I'm not going to concede whether I'm more sensitive to noise than other people. Certainly people vary in their sensitivities to noise. Like obviously some animals will hear vibrations that most humans won't hear, and then there's sort of variation within, humans. But just the drilling noise and even anything with like a heavy motor with those yellow earth movers, really extreme noise, like to the point where I work out of my house, so I'm effectively flushed out of my house. And even if they're taking a few breaks here and there, once they've sort of started for the day, then I have to go leave, and I don't know when they're going to stop and take a break. And effectively on some days it's gone on until 7. I mean, personally, if I were designing a noise ordinance, I would love to see that any heavy machinery where you're using a motor be limited to 4 hours a day specific, and that any other hours that they want to use it be negotiated with neighbors within a certain distance, like 750 feet. So I did want to put that out there. That would make a huge difference for me, because if I knew, okay, I can't be home for 4 hours, at least I could be home during business hours for the other 4. And then again, like I said, it's been going till 7, and then if it's someone starting at 8 and you've got 2 people doing it, it's a bit rough. The other thing too is I think there's something too, or recommends not holidays. If you have an ordinance, I would ask that it be expanded to major Judeo-Christian holidays. Personally, I have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur services in my house, and these are falling on weekdays this year. So I would like to be able to do that again this year, but if there's noise going on all day, I can't. And I have people counting on me to do that. So I would love to actually have something in place before then, so I could have quiet enjoyment of my home for that, but most importantly, to be able to work on a day-to-day basis. And I think in general, like if you were to sort of limit machines to sort of heavy machines to 4 hours a day, but limit all construction, say it has to be over by, yay, hour 4, like in Daytona Beach, Florida, I happen to know that the ordinance says till 4 p.m., then you cut it off, no more. But here we're going till 7, so you're into the dinner hour, when people should have quiet enjoyment of their homes. So I think that's it for now. I'd be happy to help try and draft something, but if the town could move on something like this, it would certainly make a difference for me. Probably a lot of other people as well going forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Jeff? Got anything? Yeah. Just come to see us.
Olga, do you want to announce the meeting you're gonna have here?
Hi, Olga Anderson, Highland Falls. The Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee is holding a public meeting on the 13th of September. It's our usual Friday, 6 p.m. meeting here. And I've invited two speakers to talk about, one speaker will be addressing a program called Heat Smart Orange. So it's a county-wide approach to helping homeowners and businesses install updated clean technologies for heating and cooling. So that will be one of the speakers. And then we have another speaker to talk about community choice aggregation, which is a program whereby a number of municipalities can aggregate to make a choice about their energy provider. And this has been done over across the river. They have from, I think it's from Cold Spring all the way up to Poughkeepsie. They have aggregated their buying power. So it's definitely, a question of strength in numbers in that one. But two programs that I think will be very informative to the public. So
And that's on Lucky Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, right? Why not? I also want to mention that we are also sponsoring a sort of an electric car show at the Farmers Market on the 15th. We're going to be doing sort of a mini Earth Day event at the Farmers Market, and a number of our local residents, including me, who is a brand-new owner of a Chevy Bolt. I just brought it home today. I'm so excited. So we'll be having our vehicles there, and people can, talk to owners and get the lowdown on the cars, and there'll be, a lot of information about, the cost of ownership and this, whatever. So that'll be a fun event on the 15th at the Farmers
Thank you, and good work.
Market. Thanks.
Town Board, have anything else? Ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you.